you ever in a predicament and you feel like you're learning something too late, or you should already knew something, then you probably have puzzle pieces missing, right? Because you skipped certain classes. Sometimes in life, you need things to push you in a certain direction, or else you would just sit on your butt in one emotion, right? So you sometimes need things to push you in a certain direction, and I needed for this layoff to happen for me to walk into my own imagination, and also for me to walk the walk that I was already walking, right? Or that I was already speaking, right? So I started my mentoring program first, right? That was easy for me. Um, and it was all, and it came with its challenges as well. Its challenges to make it scalable. Its challenges, right, to meet the demands. Yeah, so it came with its challenges, right? That it eventually subsided when that business I had to at least put down, right? I had to at least put down and accept it as a passion, right? And not as something with true business, right? Standards and structures. Everything don't have the variables of business, right? Because some things aren't made to be business, or you weren't made, right? You don't have the right variables to make it business. That's what I'm gonna say. You don't have the right variables to make it scalable, because everything's scalable, right? But I do think it's certain sectors of business that shouldn't be scalable because they shouldn't have been in business to begin with. But because humans naturally want to, right, be involved, there's going to be some type of exchange there, right? So I understand that, right? But nevertheless, what happened with me in the mentoring program, I I began to have too many children, right? I was mentoring children, so my input of people began to pick up. The volume of people began to just keep picking up. And I began to get overwhelmed to the point I'm hiring staff. I'm looking for uh, volunteers, right? And this this didn't subside. And what began to happen is I began to appoint two mentees and an adult, right, to every 30 kids, right? And at a point, I didn't have enough mentees, more kids and mentees, right? And people that wasn't consistent. And they weren't consistent because the mentees, they were under 21. They were between 18 and 21, a lot of them, right? And the adults were parents that volunteered, right? Some of them are offered, right, extended gigs and jobs to, right? But most of them were parents that volunteered, right? So I began to have to formulate ways to not only attract the right people to assist me in expanding, right, but also build up the value and learn how to market, right, and create the right number that everyone was okay with, right? You know what I started the number off with? Very innocent, $7. Look, and then my and raising the price, you know what I raised it to? $11, right? Far too. It's not about how low it was. It was more or less unmatched, right? The value wasn't matched. It was unequal, right? And whenever you're now, I preach you should give someone 1,000 for 100, right? But when it pertains to services and things of this nature, right? But whenever you're given 100,000 for 100, you've devalued whatever thing was 100,000, right? It doesn't translate well when you give too much value. It doesn't translate well. I know this as a teacher. I give people a lot of value, right? It doesn't translate well. So, nevertheless, those were my challenges in the mentoring program, right? Going through that, I eventually transformed that, allowed that idea to sit and transform that into the catering company. In the catering company, I still got to mentor people, but in my own poetic way, I called it um, I Chef because life is a recipe. So I got to give people the recipe to help assist them mentally, spiritually, and physically, right? So I sought catering, being an etymologist as I am. I seen catering as just servicing to the mind, body, and spirit. I just called it catering to fit in all the doors that I could, right? But nevertheless, the mentoring program transitioned into that. Now I have services to offer a different uh, demographic of people, right? That have values in mind, and that can also offer me and my program some value as well. They're more reputable people. They aren't just I'm not going to speak on the kids, right? But these are more these people are adults and business owners, and they can more or less, right, help expand in the ideas that I had as far as assisting the mind, assisting the body and the spirit. They're the ideal demographic. Adults, business entrepreneurs, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, that's where it grew into. And we're here, and I'm gonna skip all the way to where we're here now, but that's how it was at the beginning. Um, this is why it was important to develop failure endurance, right? To develop a thick spirit, because all of what I've just spoken on was already years gone by, right? We speaking on the first year or two, right? Um, this is why I work also with people, making sure that they're clear and definitive on a purpose and intent, right? That's why I always say I speak from experience, right? On not being entirely clear, but moving with a feeling. And sometimes a feeling is good, but feeling ain't good enough. We need to put a vision behind this feeling. We need to put action behind this feeling, right? Execution is and results are better than just feelings. They don't always result to no facts. You can feel anything. That doesn't mean what you feel is valid, right? On the inside or the out. You can feel danger right now. And it doesn't mean it's not valid. But what I'm saying is there's no facts on it. There's no facts on feelings, right? So, nevertheless, the mindset and shifting my mindset is what I began to focus on, right? Because I'm seeing puzzle pieces missing. I'm learning this too late. I should already knew this. If you ever in a predicament, you feeling like, let me say it again. If you ever in a predicament and you feel like you're learning something too late, or you should already knew something, then you probably have puzzle pieces missing, right? Because you skipped certain classes. You skipped certain classes. You might have been micro learning too much, right? Off of these social platforms, off of, right? Just different ways. Taking advice is the whole lesson. A lot of people do that. They'll take advice as the whole lesson. Advice be the marketing of the whole lesson. Somebody has advice, there's a whole lesson behind it. They summed it all up and just giving you that.